Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is your brother Ayaz Kabar from the GMS Virginia camp, coming at you with another short lesson right before camp through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. And I'm going to start off with this. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. So the watchman of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is, watching what's going on in the world, albeit locally, albeit in the news, personal experiences or whatever. The watchmen are watching, the tone of the earth, so that way we can align it with, the prophecies written in the scriptures. And a wise man will pay attention to what's going on around him. A wise man would actually be circumspect of, the sign of the times. But, these people, and particularly you Jakes, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, aren't paying attention to what's going on. You're living your day-to-day lives as if tomorrow is going to be the same as today, but nothing is actually set in stone. So a prudent man foreseeth the evil, and evils are multiplying in the earth. Here it is, this devil is passing passing laws. I can't even call it a law, because it didn't go through Congress, but he's actually signing documents that are mischievous and set up to destroy you Jakes. This devil is lining things up so that, when all hell breaks loose and there's going to be a cry for some form of stability, he's already got laws written in order, or documents that will be put in law, already lined up for, this draconian, enterprise, and the men of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai see these things coming, and we're warning you people that the times that are coming are going to be very evil, and the only way that you're going to be able to get out of these times that are evil is to turn to your power, turn to your refuge, that's going to deliver you out of the things that are coming, and that's turning into Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But 2/3 of you Jakes ain't gonna pay attention to that. Only the elect is ordained, or are ordained for, this level of understanding. But still, we have to warn you people. We have to tell you, whether you hear or forbear, that evil days are coming. Evil times are upon you. Look at the weather. Look at the food that you're eating. Look at the attitudes of the people. Look at the migration of the animals. Because if you paid attention to these things, a question has got to be brewing in your mind, like, why are things so? Where can I get the answers? Well, the answers are right here in the scriptures. But the simple pass on and are punished. And if you're not paying attention to what's going on, then the Lord is calling you simple. And by you being simple-minded, you're going to be punished. By you being simple and not turning back into your power, you're going to be punished. And rightfully so. Because you were warned, you were told, don't go that way, but you still went right. You were told, to repent, but you still did abominations before the eyes of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You were told not to do so many things to get you on the path of salvation that you just ignored it. So as things become more and more wicked and more evil, a lot of you people are going to be had in derision, because these are not the times where, you should be playing around. You should be getting your house in order. And it's going to get ugly, And this is just going to be a short lesson, like right before camp, because this devil ain't playing, He's making things happen. Reading on to verse 4. By humility and the fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai are riches and honor and life. So the fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is the beginning of wisdom, and by you fearing Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you're going to try to do what's right to the best of your ability to, appease Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You're not going to commit adultery. You're not going to, commit idolatry, like the fornications and you're going to actually try to follow the Lord's statutes and commandments to the best of your ability, in a nutshell, because contrary to what most people believe and what most people would like to think, the laws are still in place, and you're going to be judged by them, and for those camps out there, who actually have these camp leaders that don't have the flock, in mind in terms of salvation, a lot of you camps are just going to be destroyed, and you camp heads are going to be held accountable, because the blood of your congregation is going to be on your hands. You're not warning your people of these things that are coming. You're not warning your people of the evil days that are upon us. Here it is, you rather go on picnics and cookouts and shit like that instead of getting your house in order. And a part of getting your house in order is to repent, and seek Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai before the evil days draw nigh. And we say that a lot. I say that a lot because it's very important, The book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? How are you going to cleanse your way? How? The scriptures tell you how. By taking heed thereto according to thy word. The scriptures, is going to cleanse your way. This living water, this living water is exactly that. These scriptures cleanse your spirit. So a lot of people might say, well, I've dealt with Christianity, or I dealt in this and I dealt with that, but, I still go through the same shit. Yeah, okay. You might still go through the same shit, but, you haven't dealt with the scriptures on this level, to make that statement. And so that's why it's very important, to get this word now before it's too late. So camp's about to start. And with that, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honors to Yahweh, B'Shem, Yahushai, B'Shem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.